Greetings, welcome to Facts About Everything. I'm your host, James Egan, and today on Bond Month, we'll be looking at the 2006 film Casino Royale. This is based on the first Bond novel that Ian Fleming wrote in 1953. The tagline was, "The Pawn, the Con, the Bond." Chris Cornell sings the theme song, "You Know My Name." Although the poker scenes are set in Montenegro, they were shot in Czech Republic. The series was rebooted after the producers saw the success of the Bourne films. Judi Dench is the only actor from previous Bond films to continue to be a part of the series after it was rebooted. Jared Butler turned down the lead role because he was afraid of being typecast. Richard Branson cameos as Man at Airport Security. And thank God they got billionaire Branson to do that part, because no one could have done that part justice except him. I mean, just look at that acting. If Pierce Brosnan were to return for this film, he would have been paid $30 million. Daniel Craig won the role after producers saw his performance in Layer Cake. The film cost $150 million. It made $599 million worldwide. Daniel Craig read all the Bond novels to prepare for the role. Craig actually met with several secret agents to make his performance more authentic. Craig is the shortest actor to play Bond, standing 5'10". All the actors were 6'2", apart from Roger Moore, who was 6'1". Although many people believed Clive Owen was the #1 contender for the role, the producers never considered him. Many Bond fans were furious when they heard Craig was cast as Bond because of his blonde hair. He was given the nickname James Blonde. In spite of this, Casino Royale has the highest rating of any Bond film according to IMDb. The opening chase scene took 6 weeks to film. Daniel Craig is the first actor to play Bond who is younger than the series itself. This is the first film to show James Bond as a rookie rather than an experienced spy. While Craig was walking through China, he was offered an illegal copy of the film. 3 Aston Martins were destroyed in the car flip scene near the end of the film. During the car flip scene, the car performed 7 full rolls, which is the most in film history. The car flip was achieved by using an air cannon. Mads Mikkelsen plays Le Chiffre. Near the end of the film, he tortures Bond in a chair. In the 2006 film Exit, Mikkelsen plays a character who is tortured in a chair. Craig is the first actor to be nominated for a BAFTA for playing James Bond. The sinking house scene required the largest rig ever built for a Bond film. The large black man in the poker scene is Mr. Big from Live and Let Die. The producer's first choice for the lead role was George Clooney. The film's codename was Rough Skins when it was transferred into cinemas. In the novel, the villain is described as an overweight, unattractive man. In the novel and the film, Le Chiffre uses an inhaler. Le Chiffre is French for the cipher. The Bond girl Vesper appears for a second as the Queen of Spades in the intro. Tarantino was strongly considered for the role of the director. He wanted to cast Samuel L. Jackson as Felix Leiter and Uma Thurman as Vesper. Although the poker game took up half the film, it only took 9 days to shoot the card scenes. Craig lost his 2 front teeth in the first fight scene. His dentist had to fly from London to Prague to replace them. In Romania, the villain's name is Smashed Eye. Daniel Craig has a distinctive moment when he rises from the sea in his swimming trunks. This famous shot was created by accident. The reason why Craig suddenly rises is because he walked on a sandbank. I remember people complaining, "Oh, Daniel Craig's going to be such a rubbish Bond," but when they saw this shot, I was like, "Oh man, he's going to be such a good Bond." What do you expect him to look like? Have a beer belly? It's Bond, of course he does. Also, he's always had a good build. Look at him in Tomb Raider. Craig turned down the lead role for over a year. Craig gained 20 pounds of muscle for the film. The way Bond orders his vodka martini is taken directly from the novel.
Vodka martini. Chicken and stirred. I look like I give a damn.
After Vesper Lynd sees a man being killed, she has a shower. In the shower scene, Vesper Lynd was supposed to be wearing nothing but her underwear. Craig changed this, saying that she would have been so traumatized after seeing a man die, she wouldn't have removed her clothes. Also, the shower is not about washing away the blood, but washing away her guilt. Craig believed that having her mostly naked would have over-sexualized her and made the scene less effective. The shower scene was done in 1 take. Vesper Lynd is played by Ava Green. And before you ask, yes, that is the correct way to pronounce her name. She and Daniel Craig also starred in The Golden Compass. Despite being the main villain, Le Chiffre doesn't kill anyone in this entire movie. This is only the second Bond film to have a foot chase. The first foot chase was in Thunderball. Craig quit smoking for the role. Angelina Jolie was considered for the role of Vesper Lynd. And if she got the part, it would have been the second time they worked together, thanks to Tomb Raider. Daniel Craig said he did so much training, he was in constant pain in every scene. Although many people believe that this is the first film to portray Felix Leiter as an African American, this isn't true. He was played by Bernie Casey in the unofficial Bond film, Never Say Never Again. The sinking building scene took 3 weeks to shoot. This is the first Bond film where the lead character fails all of his mission objectives. The sinking building concept was not invented for the film. Many Venetian buildings have sunk over the years. Craig was paid $3.2 million for the role. Wow, that's nearly 10 times less what Pierce Brosnan would have got paid. Bond kills a man by shooting a nail at his eye with a nail gun. It is impossible for a nail gun to do this. Unrealistic James Bond. Julian McMahon was considered for the lead role. He's best known for playing Dr. Christian Troy in Nip and Tuck and Dr. Doom in the 2005 version of Fantastic Four. This is the first Bond film since Octopussy where the song's title is different to the film. It is also the first Bond film where the two leading Bond girls die since You Only Live Twice. The poison that Bond consumes causes him to suffer ventricular tachycardia, or VT. In the novel, Vesper Lynd commits suicide by overdosing on sleeping pills. Le Chiffre is the first main Bond villain not to be killed by Bond or one of his allies. Weirdly, the same thing happens to the main villain in the following film. The first scene that Craig shot was the African embassy scene. The Palazzo sinking house concept was inspired by the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The suit that Bond wears in the final scene is a navy version of the grey suit that Connery wore in Goldfinger. The only computer-generated effect in the film was the removal of safety wires in the stunt sequences. Craig was shopping for groceries when he received a phone call from Barbara Broccoli to inform him that he'd won the role. The last thing she said in the phone call was, "Over to you, kiddo." Craig is said to look the most like the way Bond is described in the novels. John Cleese has admitted he doesn't like the rebooted films because they take themselves too seriously. Le Chiffre suffers hemolacria, a condition that makes him weep blood. This is usually caused by a tumour in the brain. In some countries, the film is called Bond Begins. The first line of the novel is, "The scene and smoke and sweat of a casino are nauseating at 3 in the morning." The last lines in the novel read, "This is 007 speaking. This is an open line. It's an emergency. Can you hear me? Pass this on at once. 3030 was a double, working for Redland." "Yes, damn it," I said. "Was. The bitch is dead now." And finally, this was the first Bond film that was not illegal to watch in China. Although I'm done speaking about this film, I'm not done completely, because we gotta now look at the 1967 version of Casino Royale. You thought I forgot about that one? No. I didn't want to do a whole video about it because there's not a lot to talk about this terrible movie, but let's have a look. This is a parody of James Bond. It was made by a different studio and is not considered a part of the James Bond series. The tagline was, "Casino Royale is too much for one James Bond." It was nominated for an Oscar for Best Music. David Niven plays Sir James Bond. Orson Welles plays the villain, Le Chiffre. Peter Sellers plays Evelyn Tremble. Sellers and Welles hated each other so much that Welles had to use a body double when he was supposed to do a scene with Sellers. Peter Sellers was fired before he finished filming his scenes. Ursula Andress plays Vesper Lynd. Woody Allen plays Dr. No-Ah. The film had 5 directors, including John Huston. John Huston is best known for directing The Maltese Falcon and The African Queen. The parody version of Spectre in this movie is called Smersh, which sounds like quite a silly word because it's in a parody movie, but weirdly, that's actually what Spectre is called in the James Bond novels. It's derived from the Russian Smert Spunum, which means death to spies. Special thanks to these fine people for all their help. Be sure to subscribe to Facts About Everything. Follow me on Twitter for updates on upcoming videos. Check out my Facebook page to let me know what subjects you want me to talk about in the future. Thanks for watching, see you again.